The night before my citizenship oath, my stepfather slammed me against the wall for refusing to co-sign his loan, thinking a dislocated shoulder would break my future too. Next morning, he showed up at the courthouse, smirking, "You'll never become an American citizen." He didn't know my oath ceremony had already happened without me. I didn't need to fight back with fists. I used bank records, call logs, and an obscure provision of naturalization law. When the judge asked, "Who took the oath on your behalf?" whispers erupted. My stepfather went pale. The name announced made the courtroom fall dead silent. He thought he'd picked the lock to my life. I just showed him that lock was never his to pick. My name is Lena Harrow, and I've been running on 3 hours of sleep for the past week, debugging server clusters at Northwood Systems. The November cold bit through my jacket as I fumbled with my keys outside our split level in Ridgeport, North Carolina, inside. I could already hear Dale's voice booming from the kitchen, another investment opportunity pitch to whoever would listen on speakerphone at 11 p.m. Dale Mercer had been my stepfather for 12 years, ever since Mom decided his real estate dreams were worth more than our stability. Tonight, those dreams had morphed into desperation. The refinancing papers sat on the granite counter like a trap, yellow sticky notes marking where I was supposed to sign. "Finally," Dale said, ending his call. His breath reeked of bourbon. "Your mother and I need to discuss your contribution to this family." Mom stood by the sink, studying her manicure. Mary Ann Harrow Mercer had perfected the art of selective blindness when it came to her husband's schemes. "I told you this morning," I said, setting down my laptop bag. "I'm not co-signing anything. It's a simple refinance." Dale's jaw tightened, the vein on his temple pulsing. "Plus a small vehicle loan. We're family. Families help each other through rough patches." "Your rough patch has lasted 7 years. The bourbon bottle sailed past my head, exploding against the wall. Amber liquid and glass shards rained onto the hardwood. Mom didn't even flinch. "Sign the papers, Lena." His voice dropped to that dangerous register I'd learned to fear as a teenager. "No." He moved faster than a man his size should. One moment I was standing, the next, my shoulder hit the doorframe with a sickening pop. Pain shot down my arm like electricity. Dale's hand pressed against my throat, pinning me. "You ungrateful—" He pulled back his fist. I twisted, using momentum from my IT equipment training. We crashed into the dining table. Chairs scattered. My dislocated shoulder screamed, but adrenaline kept me moving. Dale lunged again. This time I was ready, sidestepping and letting his own weight carry him into the china cabinet. "Enough!" Mom's voice finally cracked through her practiced indifference, but she was looking at me, not Dale. "You're destroying my house." Dale straightened, straightening his polo shirt like we'd just had a disagreement over dinner plans. "Get out. You've got 5 minutes to pack, or I call the cops and tell them you attacked me." "Dale, she's hurt," Mom started. "She brought this on herself." I cradled my throbbing shoulder, grabbed my work backpack with my good arm. Mom watched from the doorway as Dale shoved me onto the front steps. The door slammed. The deadbolt clicked. "You did this to yourself," Mom called through the door. Her heels clicked away on the tile. The November wind cut through my thin shirt. My shoulder was on fire. Tomorrow was supposed to be the biggest day of my life, my naturalization ceremony at 10 a.m. Instead, I sat on cold concrete, fumbling my phone with one hand. The contact I needed was saved under S, Sloane Archer, my half-sister who'd escaped this house at 18. She answered on the second ring. "Lena, it's late. Can you come get me?" My voice shook despite my efforts. "Dale, finally, I need somewhere to stay." Silence. Then, "I'm already in my car. 15 minutes. Sloane's apartment smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner, a sharp contrast to the bourbon-soaked chaos I'd left behind. She worked nights as a surgical nurse, which meant her place was always impossibly clean and organized. The minimalist decor reflected her philosophy: own nothing that could be used against you. "Hold still," she said, fashioning a makeshift sling from a pillowcase. Her movements were practiced, professional. "We need to get that shoulder looked at properly." Tomorrow, after the ceremony. Lena, she fixed me with that older sister stare that had gotten me through high school. Do you want to report this? The question hung between us. Reporting meant police, statements, family drama exploding into public record. But the alternative, letting Dale win again, made my stomach turn.
Yes.
Sloane nodded, already grabbing her keys. Then we do this right. The Ridgeport police station at midnight felt like stepping into a fluorescent-lit confession booth. Detective Imani Crowe took my statement with the kind of careful attention that made me realize how serious this was. Photos of my shoulder, the bruises already blooming purple across my throat. Each flash of the camera felt like evidence piling up against the life I'd known. The responding unit is at your mother's residence now, Detective Crowe said, sliding papers across the metal table. Your stepfather is claiming you attacked him first, but with your injuries and his lack of any marks. She let that hang. There's more, I said. He wanted me to co-sign loans. When I refused, that's when he lost it. Do you have documentation of these loan requests? I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos I'd taken of the papers before everything exploded. Detective Crowe's expression sharpened. We'll need copies of these. This could elevate charges from simple assault to something more serious. My phone buzzed. A text from Dale. Your citizenship ceremony is tomorrow. Would be a shame if you couldn't make it because you're filing false reports. Then another. I know where your sister lives. Detective Crowe read them over my shoulder. Threats? Good. Makes our job easier. She looked up. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? My place, Sloane said quickly. But my mind was spinning on a different track. The citizenship ceremony, years of applications, tests, interviews, all leading to tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Federal Citizenship and Immigration Services Building. My shoulder throbbed. My face was swelling. Dale's threats echoed. What if I can't make it tomorrow? The words tumbled out. My naturalization ceremony, if I miss it, they could postpone everything. He knows that. He's counting on it. Sloane squeezed my good hand. You'll make it. We'll figure it out. But Detective Crowe was already pulling out her phone. Let me make a call. FCIS has protocols for situations like this when applicants face credible threats or medical emergencies. She stepped into the hallway, through the glass door. I watched her pace, gesturing as she spoke. Sloane helped me adjust the sling, her silence saying everything. We both knew Dale wouldn't stop. The man who'd driven her from home at 18 was the same one trying to destroy my future now. There might be an option, Detective Crowe said, returning. It's rarely used, but given the documented threats and your medical conditions, Section 337B of the Naturalization Regulations allows for proxy oath ceremonies in extreme circumstances. Proxy oath. Someone can take the oath on your behalf if you've completed all requirements past the test, interview, background checks, but face temporary inability to appear due to medical emergency or credible safety threats. The ceremony would be private, witnessed by federal officials. Sloane leaned forward. Who could stand in for her? A legal representative appointed by the court, usually a family member with no criminal record. Detective Crowe looked between us. It would need to be filed first thing in the morning. The ceremony could proceed in a secure location while you're getting medical treatment. My phone lit up with another barrage from Dale. Photos of Sloane's car in her apartment complex. He was escalating. Do it, I said. Whatever it takes. He doesn't get to win this. Detective Crowe nodded. Then let's build you an airtight case. We're going to need everything: bank statements, any past loan documents he might have forged, phone records. He picked the wrong night to show his true colors. As we prepared to leave for the hospital, Sloane pulled me aside. You sure about this, once we start? He started it 12 years ago, I said. Tomorrow, I finish it. The morning sun hurt my eyes as we walked into First National Bank of Ridgeport. My shoulder was properly immobilized now, but the pain medication made everything feel slightly detached, like watching my life through frosted glass. Mr. Yates, the credit manager, pulled up my information with a few keystrokes. His expression shifted from professional courtesy to concern. "Ms. Harrow, I need to show you something." He turned his monitor toward us. "You're listed as co-signer on a home equity line of credit that went into default 3 months ago." "That's impossible. I never—" The signature on the screen stopped me cold. It looked like mine. But something was off. The way the L curved, the pressure points. "Wait." Sloan leaned closer. "Lena, isn't that exactly how you signed the lease renewal 2 years ago, the one Mom witnessed?" The memory clicked. Dale had been there that day, supposedly helping with the paperwork. He'd made copies for their records. Mr. Yates pulled up more documents. "There's also an attempted auto loan application from 4 months ago, denied due to the defaulted equity line." What was the mailing address for the denial? He checked. 1247 Oakwood Drive. Mom's house. She'd known. For months. She'd known Dale was using my name, destroying my credit, and said nothing. "I need copies of everything," I said. "Every document with my name on it." "Of course. But Miss Harrow, you should know there's been unusual activity on these accounts. Multiple inquiries from different financial institutions, all in the last 6 months. Someone's been shopping your information around." Sloan was already on her phone with Detective Crow. I stared at the signatures, seeing the pattern now. Dale hadn't just taken one swing at my future, he'd been systematically dismantling it for months. At the county courthouse, the records told an even darker story. Liens filed in my name, court judgments I'd never been notified about, all sent to Mom's address, all bearing that same almost but not quite signature. "He's built an entire paper trail," Sloan said, spreading the documents across a metal table in the courthouse lobby, "making you look like a serial defaulter." The timing isn't random, I realized. Every application, every fraud, they all started right after I got my final citizenship interview approval. "He knew you'd be financially vetted. He was trying to sabotage." No, the pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. He wasn't trying to stop my citizenship. He was creating leverage, make me desperate enough financially that I'd have to sign whatever he wanted. My phone rang. "Detective Crow." "Lena, where are you right now?" "County courthouse. Why?" "Dale just filed a civil suit against you for defamation and property damage. He's claiming you attacked him and stole financial documents from the house. He's asking for an emergency hearing today at 2 p.m. "Of course. The same time as my rescheduled citizenship ceremony." "Let him," I said. "We'll be there." "Lena." "Detective, can you meet us? We found evidence of systematic identity theft going back months. Bank fraud, forged signatures, false loan applications, all of it." A pause. "How solid is your documentation?" I looked at the stack of papers Sloan was organizing into labeled folders. Bank statements with impossible signatures, loan applications I'd never seen, court documents sent to addresses designed to ensure I'd never receive them. "Rock solid." "Then I'll see you at 2 p.m. Oh, and Lena. Your immigration attorney called, Pierce Lowell. He says to meet him at the federal building at noon. Something about that proxy oath arrangement." After she hung up, Sloan and I sat in the courthouse lobby, surrounded by evidence of Dale's campaign against me. Each document was another piece of ammunition, but the real weapon was something else entirely. "He doesn't know about Section 337B, Sloan said quietly. "No, he thinks forcing me into court means I miss the ceremony. He thinks he's won." "So we let him think that." I nodded, pulling out my phone to text Mom. Simple, direct. "Dale's right. I'll be at the courthouse at 2 p.m. We need to settle this." Her response came quickly, finally being sensible. Sloan read over my shoulder. "You sure you want to bait him like this?" "I want him there, in front of a judge, with all his lies on display." I looked at my sister, remembering all the times she'd protected me when we were younger, before she had to save herself. "Will you do it? Stand in for me. Take your citizenship oath." She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her in years. "It would be an honor." "Then let's go see this attorney. Time to show Dale that some locks can't be picked, They can only be changed by the rightful owner. The photo arrived at 3 a.m., the notification pulling me from restless sleep on Sloane's couch. 4 slashed tires on her Honda Civic, the cuts deep and deliberate. Dale's message underneath, "Family doesn't forget." Sloane was already awake, prepping for her hospital shift. She looked at the image over my shoulder, her expression hardening. "He's escalating." Before I could respond, another text, a video of Dale standing outside her apartment complex, lighting a cigarette, making sure the security camera caught his face, taunting us. "Call Detective Crow," Sloane said, but I was already dialing. 20 minutes later, we heard the sirens, not police fire trucks. The smell of smoke seeped under the door. Sloane yanked it open to chaos. Black smoke billowed from the stairwell. The third-floor landing was in flames, accelerant splash patterns obvious even through the haze. Everyone out. Firefighters herded residents down the emergency exits. We grabbed the folders of evidence, my laptop, and ran. Outside, neighbors huddled in robes and pajamas, watching flames lick at Sloane's doorframe. The fire marshal's preliminary assessment was blunt arson. Accelerant poured on the landing, meant to trap anyone inside apartment 3B Sloane's unit. "This is attempted murder," Detective Crow said, arriving as the flames were controlled. "We're pulling security footage now." But I knew what they'd find. Dale was too smart to be caught on camera during the act. The earlier video was alibi building him leaving the complex hours before the fire. "We can't stay here," Sloane said, ash in her hair, her calm finally cracking. Detective Crow made a call. Within an hour, we were at a different location, a nondescript building that turned out to be a joint safe house run by the police department and FCIS for witnesses and at-risk citizenship applicants. Domestic violence situations involving immigration status, the coordinator, Ms. Patel, explained. More common than people think. Abusers often use citizenship applications as leverage. She handed us keys to a small but secure room. "You're safe here. Federal property. Federal protection." "What about tomorrow?" I asked. "The ceremony. The court hearing." "About that." Ms. Patel pulled out a thick manual, flipping to a tabbed section. "Section 337B of our regulations. In cases of credible threats or medical emergency, we can arrange alternative ceremony procedures." She explained what Detective Crow had mentioned: proxy oath, private ceremony, federal judge authorization, all legitimate, all legal, all completely unknown to most people. "Your attorney, Mr. Lowell, has already filed the emergency motion." She continued. "Given the arson attack, the documented threats, your medical condition, Judge Martinez has agreed to review it first thing in the morning." Sloane leaned forward. "So I could actually take the oath for her?" "If approved, yes. You'd appear before the judge in a secure location. Take the oath on her behalf while she's receiving protection or medical care. It's been used in cases of military deployment, severe illness, and yes, domestic terrorism situations." Domestic terrorism. That's what Dale's campaign had become. "There's one catch," Ms. Patel added. "The proxy ceremony would happen at the same time as the originally scheduled one, 10 a.m., if Ms. Harrow appears at the 2 p.m. court hearing instead. Dale will think I skipped the ceremony to fight his bogus lawsuit," I finished. "Exactly." Sloane and I exchanged looks. The plan was crystallizing. Let Dale think he'd forced me to choose between defending myself and becoming a citizen. Let him gloat in that courtroom, thinking he'd won. "Will the citizenship certificate be ready immediately?" I asked. "Within an hour of the ceremony, it can be delivered anywhere, including—" Ms. Patel smiled slightly. "A courtroom." That night, Sloane and I refined our strategy. She'd take the oath at 10 a.m. in a secure federal courtroom with Detective Crow as a witness. I'd appear at the 2 p.m. hearing with our evidence of fraud and identity theft. And at just the right moment, the truth would detonate Dale's victory. "You sure about this?" Sloane asked as we reviewed the documents one more time. "Once that certificate is issued, there's no going back. You'll be a Citizen, whether Dale likes it or not. I thought about 12 years of Dale's control, Mom's enabling, the systematic destruction of my credit, my safety, my future, all leading to this moment. He thinks citizenship is just a piece of paper he can keep from me. I said, tomorrow, I show him it's an unbreakable promise, and unlike his forged signatures, this one will be real even if it's not mine. Sloan squeezed my hand. Then let's make sure everything's ready. He wanted a fight in court. He's about to get one he'll never forget. Attorney Pierce Lowell's office smelled like leather and old paper, the kind of place where important documents were signed and lives changed trajectory. He was younger than I'd expected, with the focused intensity of someone who'd fought too many immigration battles to be surprised by anything. Emergency motion for proxy oath under Section 337B, he read from his laptop. Given the documented threats, arson attack, and medical evidence, Judge Martinez has granted preliminary approval, but we need to be strategic about this. He pulled up a split screen, the federal courthouse schedule on one side, the civil court docket on the other. Your stepfather's emergency hearing is at 2 p.m. in Courtroom 4B. The proxy ceremony will occur at 10 a.m. in the secure federal chamber. Ms. Archer will need to appear with Detective Crow as witness. Will Dale know? I asked. Not unless someone tells him. These proxy ceremonies are sealed proceedings. Only the final certificate is public record. Sloan studied the paperwork. What exactly do I say is their special wording? The same oath every new citizen takes, Pierce said. The only difference is you'll add on behalf of Lena Harrow at the beginning. Judge Martinez will administer it personally. He turned to me. Now, for the restraining order and fraud charges. We file these separately. Today, they'll be served on Dale at his civil hearing after he thinks he's won. I want him to see me there, I said. In the courtroom at 2 p.m. Let him think I chose fighting him over citizenship. Pierce smiled. Misdirection. I like it. We'll have the certificate delivered to the courthouse by federal courier at exactly 2:45 p.m. Judge Chen in the civil court has been briefed on the situation. Wait. Something clicked. You said Judge Chen has been briefed. Professional courtesy between federal and state judiciary. She knows there's a citizenship matter running parallel to the civil case. She'll be prepared for unusual documentation. Sloan leaned back. So while Dale's grandstanding about Lena missing her ceremony, the ceremony will have already happened, Pierce finished, with federal witnesses and a federal judge's seal. We spent the next 2 hours preparing affidavits, bank fraud documentation, identity theft evidence, the arson investigation preliminary report. Each piece of paper was another nail in Dale's legal coffin. There's something else, Pierce said as we finished. The prosecutor's office is watching this case. If we can prove systematic fraud and identity theft, combined with the assault and arson, we're looking at federal charges. Dale could face serious time. Good, I said, meaning it. That evening, Sloan and I deliberately leaked our location. Not the safe house, but the federal courthouse. Make sure Mom knows you're meeting with immigration lawyers, I told Sloan. Let her tell Dale. He needs to think we're desperately trying to salvage the ceremony. Sloan made the call. Her voice pitched perfectly worried, frustrated, mentioning repeatedly that Lena has to be in civil court tomorrow, and the immigration lawyers say there's nothing they can do about the timing conflict. Within an hour, Dale had texted Mom. Told you she'd have to choose. See you in court. Hook set, Sloan said. Detective Crow arrived at the safe house that night with final preparations. Securities arranged for both venues, federal marshals at the proxy ceremony, court security beefed up for the civil hearing. We're treating this as a credible threat situation. What about after? I asked, when Dale realizes what happened. That's why we're serving him with criminal charges immediately after the civil hearing. He won't leave that courthouse a free man. I thought about Mom, probably helping Dale prepare his victory speech. 12 years of choosing him over her daughters. Tomorrow, she'd learn the price of that choice. One more thing, Pierce said, joining us. I've arranged for a special delivery person for your citizenship certificate. He handed me a Federal Courier ID. The photo was familiar Ava Ricks, the bank employee who'd discovered Dale's internal accomplice. She volunteered, Pierce explained. Turns out Dale tried to rope her into his scheme months ago. She's been documenting everything, waiting for someone to come forward. She'll be in the courtroom gallery, ready to deliver your certificate at exactly the right moment. Everything was in place, the proxy ceremony arranged, the evidence organized, the trap set. Get some rest, Detective Crow advised. Tomorrow, your sister makes you a citizen, and you make Dale face justice. As I lay in the safe house bed that night, I thought about the oath Sloan would take for me. I hereby declare, on oath, that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty. Dale thought he was my sovereign, ruling through fear and fraud. Tomorrow, I'd renounce him entirely, not with words, but with evidence, justice, and a citizenship he could never steal. Ready? Sloan asked from the other bed. Ready, I said. Let's give Dale the day in court he's been begging for. The courtroom air was thick with Dale's cologne and confidence. He sat at the plaintiff's table in his best suit, the one he wore to convince investors he was legitimate. Mom perched beside him in her pearls, avoiding eye contact with everyone, especially me. I entered at 1:55 p.m., my arms still in a sling, visible bruises yellowing at the edges. Dale's smirk widened. He whispered something to his bargain attorney, probably about how pathetic I looked choosing court over citizenship. All rise, the Honorable Judge Patricia Chen presiding. Judge Chen took her seat, surveying the room with sharp eyes that missed nothing. We're here for Mercer v. Harrow, emergency civil complaint for defamation and property damage. Mr. Mercer, you may proceed. Dale's attorney stood, buttons straining. Your Honor, my client has been viciously attacked by Ms. Harrow, both physically and through a campaign of lies designed to destroy his reputation. I let him talk, let Dale nod along, playing the victim. The gallery was filling Detective Crow in the back row, Mr. Yates from the bank, several people I didn't recognize but who held folders that looked official. Ms. Harrow, Judge Chen addressed me. Do you have representation? Pierce Lowell stood. Attorney Pierce Lowell for the defendant, Your Honor. We'd like to present evidence that not only refutes Mr. Mercer's claims but demonstrates a pattern of criminal behavior on his part. Objection. Dale's attorney sputtered. This is a simple civil matter. Overruled. Mr. Lowell, proceed. Pierce laid out our case methodically. First, the bank documents. Mr. Yates authenticated each forged signature, explaining how Dale had used old lease agreements to fabricate loan applications. The courtroom projector displayed side-by-side comparisons, my real signature versus Dale's forgeries. Dale's confident mask cracked slightly. Next came the phone records, text after text of threats, escalating from financial manipulation to promises of violence. The gallery murmured when Pierce showed the photo of Sloan's slashed tires, time-stamped hours before the arson. Your Honor, Pierce said, we have video evidence of Mr. Mercer surveilling Ms. Archer's apartment the night of the fire. The security footage played. Dale couldn't deny it was him, the same suit he wore now, the same cocky walk. Mom's hands trembled in her lap. Furthermore, Pierce continued, we have a witness to Mr. Mercer's attempts to recruit bank employees into his fraud scheme. A woman in the gallery stood. Not Ava Ricks, but someone else from the bank I hadn't expected. 6 months ago, Mr. Mercer approached me about expediting loan applications. He claimed to have Ms. Harrow's permission. I reported it to management immediately. Dale was on his feet. That's a lie, Your Honor. They're fabricating. Sit down. Mr. Mercer. Judge Chen's voice could have frozen water. I've seen enough financial fraud cases to recognize authentic documentation. These signatures are clearly forged. But she assaulted me. Dale pointed at me, desperate now. She destroyed my property. Medical records indicate Ms. Harrow suffered a dislocated shoulder, extensive bruising, and soft tissue damage to her throat. Pierce interrupted. Mr. Mercer shows no injuries consistent with being attacked. The momentum had completely shifted. Dale's attorney was shuffling papers helplessly. Mom had shrunk into herself, finally seeing what everyone else in the room saw a con man exposed. Your Honor, Judge Chen said, I'm curious about something. Today is November 15th. According to the court filing, Ms. Harrow had a citizenship ceremony scheduled for 10 a.m. this morning. She looked directly at me. Yet you're here instead. Why? This was it. The moment everything pivoted. Actually, Your Honor, I said, standing carefully. My ceremony did take place this morning. Confused murmurs rippled through the room. Dale's head snapped up. That's impossible, he shouted. She's been here preparing for… Mr. Lowell, Judge Chen prompted. Pierce smiled. Your Honor, due to the documented threats and assault, Ms. Harrow was granted an emergency proxy oath ceremony under Section 337B of Federal Immigration Regulations. The ceremony was completed at 10 a.m. in secure federal chambers. Who stood as proxy? Judge Chen asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. Sloan Archer, Ms. Harrow's sister, with Detective Amani Crow serving as federal witness. The courtroom doors opened. Ava Ricks entered, wearing a federal courier uniform, carrying an official envelope with the Department of Homeland Security seal. Delivery for Ms. Lena Harrow, she announced clearly. I stood to receive it, hands steady despite everything. Inside was my certificate of naturalization, embossed with the federal seal, signed by Judge Martinez. Time of ceremony, 10:00 a.m., date November 15th, 2024. Dale had gone completely white. No, that's fraud. She wasn't there. It's perfectly legal, Pierce said calmly. Established federal law for cases involving credible threats to the applicant's safety. Ms. Harrow completed all requirements. The oath was administered by a federal judge. She is now a United States citizen. I held up the certificate, letting the courtroom lights catch the official seal. You said I'd never become an American citizen. You were wrong. The courtroom erupted. Dale was shouting, his attorney trying to restore order, but Judge Chen's gavel cut through the chaos like thunder. Order, Mr. Mercer. You will control yourself or be held in contempt. But the real bomb was about to drop. Your Honor, Pierce said calmly, we have one more witness, someone with direct knowledge of Mr. Mercer's fraud network. The side door opened. Ava Ricks entered again, but this time not as a courier. She took the witness stand, was sworn in, and began dismantling Dale's life with surgical precision. My name is Ava Ricks. I'm a loan officer at First National, but I've been working with federal investigators for the past 4 months. She looked directly at Dale. Mr. Mercer approached me in July, offering $10,000 to push through applications using Ms. Harrow's information. Lying bitch! Dale exploded. Mr. Mercer, Judge Chen warned. Ava continued, unshaken. I recorded our conversations. I also documented his claims about having an inside person at the county clerk's office who could authenticate old signatures as current. She produced a USB drive within minutes. Dale's voice filled the courtroom from the speakers. The beauty is, she signed this lease renewal 2 years ago. My contact at the county can update the timestamp in their system. Banking apps don't verify beyond that. Mom's face had gone gray. She was hearing, for the first time, exactly who she'd been protecting all these years. There's more, Ava said. Mr. Mercer has been running this scheme on multiple victims. I've identified at least 6 other cases of identity theft, all family members or tenants. The prosecutor, who'd been sitting quietly in the gallery, stood. Your Honor, the district attorney's office has been monitoring this hearing. Based on the evidence presented, we're prepared to file immediate charges for identity theft, fraud, witness intimidation, and conspiracy. No. Dale turned to Mom. Marianne, tell them she's lying. But Mom was staring at her hands. silent. Detective Crow stepped forward. Your Honor, we also have developments in the arson investigation. Fire forensics found accelerant matching a can in Mr. Mercer's garage. His fingerprints were on materials at the scene. Additionally, another detective added, we've connected Mr. Mercer to 3 previous suspicious fires at properties where he had financial disputes. The walls were closing in, and Dale knew it. His confident businessman facade had completely crumbled, revealing the cornered criminal underneath. Your Honor, Pierce addressed Judge Chen. Given the evidence of ongoing criminal activity and threat to public safety, we request Mr. Mercer be remanded into custody immediately. Granted, bailiff. Wait. Dale's desperation peaked. She set me up. The citizenship thing. It's all fake. Check it. Someone check if that ceremony really happened. Judge Chen's expression could have cut glass. Mr. Mercer, are you suggesting a federal judge, federal officers, and the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services participated in fraud? Silence. I thought not. She turned to the bailiff. Take Mr. Mercer into custody. Criminal arraignment will be scheduled within 48 hours. As the bailiff approached with handcuffs, Dale made one last attempt. Marianne, do something. Mom finally looked up, tears streaming. I can't, Dale, not anymore. Ms. Harrow, Judge Chen addressed me as Dale was cuffed. Regarding your civil claims for damages financial, medical, and punitive, I'm ruling in your favor on all counts. Mr. Mercer will be liable for full restitution plus damages. The exact amount will be determined after full financial discovery, but I suspect it will be substantial. Dale was dragged toward the door, still shouting. This isn't over. You hear me? Lena, this isn't. The door slammed shut, cutting him off. The courtroom slowly emptied. Mom hadn't moved from her seat, staring at the table where Dale had sat so confidently just an hour ago. Mom, I said quietly. I knew, she whispered, about the loans. I helped him sometimes, gave him information. She looked up at me, broken. I'm sorry. I could have raged, could have listed every time she'd chosen him over Sloan and me. Instead, I said, the prosecutor will want to talk to you. Tell the truth, all of it. She nodded, gathering her purse with shaking hands. As she passed, she paused. Your father would have been proud. Your real father. He always said you were unbreakable. Then she was gone, leaving me alone with Pierce and my citizenship certificate. Hell of a day, Pierce said. I looked at the certificate, my name, my photo, but achieved through my sister's voice speaking the oath. Dale had forced me to find another way, and in doing so, had revealed just how many people stood ready to help me claim my future. What happens now? I asked. Now you're an American citizen with a strong civil case and a criminal one that'll likely send Dale away for years. I'd say you won. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when I emerged. Word had spread fast: identity theft, fraud, a citizenship ceremony completed by proxy while the perpetrator thought he'd won. It was the kind of story that made headlines. Ms. Harrow, can you comment on today's proceedings? Do you plan to pursue additional charges? How does it feel to become a citizen under such circumstances? I stopped at the top of the steps, Sloan beside me. She'd arrived just as Dale was being led away, still wearing the outfit she'd chosen for the ceremony, professional, dignified, perfect for taking an oath that would change my life. The November wind whipped around us, but I didn't feel cold anymore. I held my certificate of naturalization up, letting the cameras capture it against the backdrop of the courthouse where Dale had planned his triumph. I have just one thing to say. I told the crowd of reporters. My stepfather thought he could steal my identity, my future, my right to belong here. He beat me, threatened my family, tried to burn down my sister's home. The journalist leaned in, recording devices extended. He said I'd never become an American citizen. He thought violence and fraud were his locks on my life. I looked directly at the main news camera. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to show him those locks were never his to control. But how do you respond to critics who might say using a proxy oath is somehow not legitimate? One reporter called out. Sloane stepped forward. I spoke my sister's oath with her medical records documenting assault, with a federal judge presiding, with a detective who'd documented death threats as witness. If that's not legitimate, then neither is any oath taken by soldiers deployed overseas or citizens hospitalized during their ceremonies. The law exists for exactly these situations when someone tries to weaponize the American dream against you. Will you be pursuing the maximum charges? Another asked. That's up to the prosecutors, I said. But I will say this: Dale Mercer spent years stealing from multiple victims. Today wasn't just my victory, it was theirs too. As we descended the steps, I spotted Ava Ricks in the crowd. She gave me a small nod, the woman who'd risked her job to document Dale's schemes, who delivered my citizenship certificate at exactly the right moment. Detective Crow waited by a department car. Thought you might want to avoid the media circus, she said. I can give you a ride. Actually, I said, I think I'll walk. First walk as a citizen who doesn't have to look over her shoulder. She smiled. Dale's being processed now. With the arson evidence and Ava's recordings, he's looking at 15 to 20 years, minimum, longer if we connect him to those other fires. And my mom. She's cooperating fully, probably won't face charges if she testifies truthfully. I nodded. Mom had made her choices. But she was still my mother. Maybe someday, without Dale's influence, we could rebuild something. Maybe not. But that was tomorrow's concern. Lena, Sloane said quietly as Detective Crow drove away. How do you feel? I thought about it. Hours ago, I'd been a battered woman facing deportation of dreams, crushed under the weight of family betrayal and systematic fraud. Now I was a citizen with a legal victory, a sister who'd literally stood in my place when it mattered most, and a future Dale could never touch again. Free, I said. I feel free. We walked through downtown Ridgeport, past the bank where Dale's schemes had unraveled, past the federal building where Judge Martinez had made possible what seemed impossible. My certificate was tucked safely in my bag. But I didn't need to look at it. I felt its weight, not physical, but the weight of belonging, of rights that couldn't be forged or stolen. My phone buzzed. Pierce Lowell. Preliminary estimate from Forensic Accounting: Dale owes you at least $847,000 in damages. Probably more once we factor in punitive awards. I showed Sloane. She whistled low. That's enough to start over. Really start over. Yeah, I said. It is. As we reached Sloane's temporary rental car, she pulled out her phone. I recorded it, you know, the oath ceremony. Want to see? On the small screen. I watched my sister raise her right hand in a wood-paneled federal chamber. Judge Martinez's voice was clear and formal. Please state your name and that you are taking this oath on behalf of the applicant. I am Sloane Archer. My sister's voice came through, strong and certain. Taking this oath on behalf of my sister, Lena Harrow. And then the words I'd memorized, practiced, dreamed of saying myself. I hereby declare, on oath, that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty. Dale thought he'd stolen this moment from me. Instead, he'd given me something more powerful: proof that citizenship isn't just about where you're born or what papers you hold. It's about who stands with you, who speaks for you when someone tries to silence your voice. I looked at my sister. Thank you. Always, she said. Now let's go home. We've got a future to build. Citizen. As we drove away from the courthouse, I didn't look back. Dale was already part of my past, locked away behind bars he'd built himself. My story was just beginning. I didn't get revenge. I got something better. I got justice. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to hear where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let me know so we can connect and share our thoughts about overcoming those who try to hold us back. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And if you really want to help more people hear this story, hit the hype button to boost this video. Your support means everything. Until next time. Remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't breaking the locks that bind you. It's showing the world those locks were never theirs to hold.